There it is.
First, thank you all for making it on such a miserable evening. Okay, welcome to the December 11th, 2024 full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 6. My name is Sandy McKee and I am the chair of CB6. This meeting is called to order at 7:08 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Secretary Olivia Shrednick, District Manager Jesus Perez, Assistant District Manager Brendan Berth, and Community Coordinator Brian Lafferty. As a reminder, New York State law requires all community board members who are not able to attend, thank you, the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is
I'm not hearing you.
adjourned. Our ground rules. No one may speak until it is important that only one person at a time. Is that
Can you hear me,
I can
Betty?
hear you, but I'm losing
no?
I'm losing Sandy a bit. She's
breaking up.
dropping words.
Hey, don't use the mic.
Okay,
You're right there by the mic and just project for you.
okay. It is important that only one person speaks at a time so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said. Please wait until you're in front of a mic to speak. We've heard feedback from attendees that our meetings are hard to hear at times. The chat function should be used to alert us of any technical
Lost you again.
difficulties you are having, or to state in writing that which has already been.
And the stream's going a bit in and out. And that the stream's going a bit.
Not able to do anything about that.
If you wish to give remarks during the public session and have not already registered by filling out a form, you can register to speak in the public session on Zoom by using the Q&A feature and posting your name, your affiliation, and what specific topic you wish to speak about. Or if you're here in person and want to speak in the public session newsletter, which Brian is pointing out. This needs to be done by 7:15. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board on Green View.
Not hearing.
Sorry.
It's coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
We are having connectivity issues, so that may cause a lag in visuals.
Okay. Hopefully there's no objections to our agenda. If there are any objections, please raise your hand. All right. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted.
Where's Lydia's roll call sheet?
I'll take attendance by roll call. Board members, when your name is called, please say present. Najed Abdul Samad.
Present.
Tanya Arias.
Present.
Kyle Athaid. Neil Barkley.
Present.
Martin Barrett.
Present.
Elvie Barroso.
Not here.
Jim Collins.
Here.
Jonathan Dorico.
Not here.
Stuart Deser. Beatrice Disman.
Present.
Maya Donahue.
Present.
Robert Fairbairn.
I'm sorry.
Brock Friedman.
Present.
Jason Fromwitz. Eric Goldberg.
Present.
Justin Goldberg.
Present.
Gloria Hayes,
Present.
Rabia Iqbal,
Present.
Paige Judge, Rupal Khan,
Present.
John Keller,
Present.
Nadeem Kalani,
Present.
Katie Londa,
Present.
Sandra Leftoff,
Present.
David Levy,
He's not able to make.
David Lowenstein,
Present.
Anton Molnar,
Present.
Sandra McKee,
Present.
Alec Militic,
Present.
Richard Mintz,
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe,
Present.
Reshma Patel,
Present.
Stephen Perez,
Reshma's here.
Miriam Ralph, Michael Ann Rowe,
Present.
Anne Seligman,
Present.
Sandra Sharon,
Present.
Olivia Shrednick, present. Mubin Siddiqui,
Present.
Letty Simon,
Present.
Susan Steinberg, Mark Thompson,
Present.
Mark is here.
I'm over here. I'm
Yeah.
on Zoom.
Gabriel Terzi, James Vera,
Present.
Jerry Weinstein,
Absent.
Sarah Whittington, Nader Zeddy,
Okay.
32 members present, Julie present, we do have a quorum.
Yes, thank you for coming. The elected officials sent their reports ahead of time. You can find all of the reports that were submitted on the CB6 website. The link to the reports was disseminated ahead of time for your convenience can be found in the chat on Zoom or by going to our website's page for full board meetings. I will now call on the elected officials who have RSVP'd so that they can take questions from CB6 members and the public about their pre-submitted reports. Each elected official will be able to field questions. If there are no questions, we will move to the next person on our list. If an elected official has a time-sensitive matter to report on that didn't make it into their pre-submitted report, they will have 3 minutes to do so. We will also hear from government agencies who have RSVP'd. And we actually have two senators this evening. I'm not sure.
The Senator Liz Krueger.
Okay, go first.
Oh. Hi, was it me first, Kristen? Sorry.
We're gonna let you
Yeah,
go
Liz,
first.
if you can go first, if you want.
Thank you very much, Senator
Folks, we're gonna
Gonzalez.
turn our,
Mm,
Thanks, Liz.
folks, we're gonna turn our camera off, so those watching from home can't see the room anymore, but that might help with our connectivity issues.
Hi,
I'm sorry,
No,
Senator Krueger,
thank you so much.
you may continue.
So yes, you have my community report, and I don't want to take up more of your time because you already had to start a little late. So I'll just open it up to questions. And somebody will shout out who's asking me a question. And it's nice to see some of you here online and in person. Okay.
Ken Collins has a question.
Okay, yes.
Hi, Senator. I'm just wondering, have you ever been to Gettysburg?
Gettysburg,
School trip, maybe?
Pennsylvania? I have been, yes. I've taken a tour. Why?
Because I thought it was absurd that you were talking about seceding from the Union because Donald Trump was elected president. For somebody from a party that proposes to, or supposedly is so devoted to democracy, for you to make a statement like that was absolutely shameful. I wanted to register my
Well, I actually said it in jest, but some people seem to be taking it seriously. Do you feel the same way about Donald Trump telling Canada they could
It
become
certainly was.
51st state? Because I think they probably feel the same way.
Okay. Sandra Leftoff has a question for you.
Yes,
Hi.
Hi.
I wanna do the last comment, but also to ask you, really the question is, I know good cause eviction has passed. That's
Yes.
good, but I also know it's problematic. So can you talk about, one, what's problematic and what's your hopes for the future in that, and what you hope folks like us on local community boards can be doing to facilitate good cause in a good way?
Great. So I don't know if we know all the issues with the legislation we've passed. We do know that we've put out some very good materials explaining it. I know I mailed it out to everyone in my district. And I think the Housing Committee of CB6 is having a specific meeting on good cause eviction soon. And Dana from my shop will be there to help explain things. But as far as the problems, we're yet to really see. I mean, some landlords don't seem to know the rules, but we're following up with them. Obviously, it doesn't apply to everyone. It's only certain kinds of buildings that this applies to. And so we will really, I think, have to see over time what the impact has been. I'm pretty optimistic it will help a significant number of people who frankly were facing such enormous rent increases as market rate tenants that they were just being priced out of New York City completely.
Then can I have one question about this City of Yes housing? If my reading is that it's not going to fall under good cause, which means all this new development is not going to be controlled in terms of rent, how rents can go, which I think is very problematic.
I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, City of Yes is a city law, and the good cause eviction is a state law. And it is correct that buildings within the first number of years that they're built don't kick into good cause. On the other hand, the City of Yes, I believe, requires for the subsidies for it to become rent regulated units, at least the affordable ones, therefore they would fall into non-eviction rules for rent regulation. So it really depends on which sub-universe you're talking about.
Okay, I was actually talking about the market rate ones, and and I don't think I understood when that came up that they would not be, that whatever the market will bear, they're going to bear it.
Yes,
fair?
for X number
Okay.
of years, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for
We would have
getting,
liked to make the city, we would have liked to make good cause eviction cover those units, but this was sort of a negotiation, and this was as far as we could get this time around.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Oh, sorry, Rich.
Hi, this is Rich Mintz. Just very briefly, I want to thank you for your support of the Trees Act and the Climate Superfund Act, and ask whether you have any secret information about whether the governor is likely to sign either one.
Well, I don't know if it's secret or not, but I have been in hot and heavy negotiations with the governor's office on the Make Polluters Pay Superfund bill now for the last several days. And I'm feeling very optimistic that we're actually going to get this bill signed. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm a little more sanguine about our chances with the Trees Act. I should point out my staff person to CB6 is Justin Flagg, who's here with me on Zoom tonight. And Justin is like the environmental staff expert for myself and much of the state. So we've been doing our damnedest to get these bills across the finish line, but I'm pretty excited about our chances with Polluters Pay Superfund bill.
Great. Do we have any other questions for our senator?
Senator Krueger, do you have any insight on potentially the Litch Act, on which you and all our state elected officials in this district were co-sponsors?
We were going to save that for our next.
Yes, why don't we let Senator Gonzalez answer that one? How's that? Is that okay?
Great, well,
I want to hear
Thank you
Senator
very
Gonzalez's
much.
answer, though. I want to hear her answer first.
Oh, boy. I mean, honestly, so our office worked on amending that bill before it was reintroduced with Senator Rivera's team. So we were a co-prime sponsor, really, really worked on pushing it. And the latest that we've heard is that, obviously we're feeling a little bit cautiously optimistic. It's been delivered to the governor and we have a deadline of this Friday. So we'll keep you guys posted, but it is a good sign that we've made it this far.
And we have more on that
Yeah.
when our health committee comes up,
Yeah.
but thank you. So everyone, all of our elected officials here are optimistic, is that?
Cautiously optimistic, but I know that you're going to pass or considering a resolution on this. I think now's the time to put that additional pressure on the governor's office because her, failure to sign it would be a really bad signal for the entire city and state on giving communities a voice in hospital closure. So, we do want to make sure she's feeling the pressure and the urgency as much as possible.
Don't worry, we'll do it.
I mean, respect the vote, but that's hard, yeah.
Okay, I guess if there are no, sorry.
The resolution was circulated, so we can actually.
I believe
It was.
it was sent out. I believe you have multiple emails.
The Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is struggling. It might be the weather.
Okay, but great. Thank you, Senator. We really appreciate you coming to speak to us and
Thank you.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays to everyone.
All right, we'll go to Senator Kruger.
Oh, no, Senator Gonzalez.
I love them.
Okay. Or Gonzalez, I'm sorry. Yes, Senator Gonzalez next.
Do you want me to, I can project too, if it's easier, or?
It's closer,
Is my-
it's better if you're closer to this thing.
Okay, do you want me to just stand?
Yeah, you can stand in
you
front
tell
of
me
me.
where to sit. Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's really good to be here. I do want to thank Senator Kruger for her report. I can say she's probably one of the most committed and patriotic members we have for the amount of work that she's put in as chair of finance. And I really do want to uplift the incredible work that she's done, especially around the bills that we mentioned, like the Climate Superfund Act. It's a historic piece of legislation, and so I know a lot of our district deeply cares about it, and I'm really excited that this is a bill that we could get signed eventually. So on that note, I know we spoke a little bit about the Litch Act as well. Definitely eager to see how we can continue working with you there, and starting with other pieces of legislation and reporting back on that. We did have one of our bills signed along that we sponsored along with Assembly Member Boris's office on cloud computing. In addition to the Litch Act, we have one more bill pending with the governor's office that we are trying to negotiate with her. It's a bill I've spoken about here and had some questions on. The Loading Act. It's government use of artificial intelligence. We work really closely with the AFL-CIO and the Public Employees Federation on this bill because it's the first in the country, honestly, that would regulate in a meaningful way government use of these technologies, but also the first in the country with labor language protecting workers. And certain rules from being automated in our state government. So that's incredibly exciting. We are pushing hard on that, and we'll keep you all posted by the end of the year which of those bills we're able to get, and hopefully it's 2 for 2 and we have some signatures, but as you know, we only have till the end of the year to get those signatures before they're vetoed. So we'll keep you all posted there. I know last time we reported back our bill had also been signed with Assemblymember Epstein on renaming the 23rd Street station for Brook. So aside from legislative updates, I do have some community updates since the last time we've seen each other. Assemblymember Epstein and I spent a really lovely night, speaking of the 23rd Street station, at that station, power washing it. We know we've had some concerns around the cleanliness at our station, so Harvey and I took matters into our own hands and spent some time cleaning it. We, are excited to say that the MTA is also continuing to, having that conversation with us to make sure that all of our stations are up to standard. But that was a really exciting and fun event. We also had our annual office hours at Stuyvesant Town and our monthly office hours at Kips Bay. Just a reminder, every month we do our office hours at Kips Bay Library. If you're interested in coming out and schedule a meeting, we have our community liaison Peyton, who's there in the room. And we also have our chief of staff with us today, Catherine, who's also here. So if you want to say hi to her and schedule some time to speak, you guys are welcome to reach out to them as well. Of course, we had Thanksgiving. We gave out over 800 turkeys throughout the district, which again, 3 boroughs, so we spread it out. But right here in Manhattan, we were able to partner with Assemblymember Epstein's team and give out, and as well as Councilmember Rivera's team, and give out turkeys at Stuyvesant Town, at Strauss Houses, and at 344 East 28th Street. You know, if there are in the future additional sites you want to see us doing giveaways, you know, please let us know. We're always open to expanding that operation for next year. And, you know, the last thing I would say on a community level before taking questions is there have been a lot of updates on public safety. We know that we've had some recent violence in our community. And we've heard a lot about how broken our system is, especially when it comes to addressing mental health crises. On that, we have a roundtable with the DA's office coming up next week, where we, along with the other elected officials, will be discussing that with him. And then I've also been working with Councilmember Bottcher's office to see if we can set a clear list of priorities across city and state with clear deliverables in the next year to ensure that we're not just calling out that we have a broken system, but we're taking very intentional steps to fixing that system, right? And making sure that all of you are updated and know what that looks like. So we're convening elected officials around both, and we'll certainly come back to you all with updates there. But if that's an issue that you're particularly passionate about, you want to see more mental health resources, et cetera, also feel free to reach out to our office anytime, because we're happy to also source our feedback and what you want to see changed directly from the community. And then with that, I guess, you know, one last one, we did also a roundtable with ACS. We know that there's been some concerns around also public safety with some of the minors that are staying in that center along with Strauss Houses. So we met with them and came up with some short-term solutions, thinking of a community advisory board, and also use the space to report back in the future. And I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to update you on. Just a small reminder, our budget letter is coming up in February. So if you have community organizations, things you want to see funded in the district, please send them to us, reach out to our office. We're happy to see that. And yeah, with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you all may have. I'm seeing one.
Sandra Sharon.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay.
Thank you and your staff for braving the weather. I just would hope that you can spend a minute or two talking about the cloud computing legislation that you were referring to earlier.
That's a great question. Absolutely. So our cloud computing bill, that again, we sponsor with Ann Boris, he essentially gives agencies information on what that technology is. So they have the information and resources to make informed decisions about whether or not they would like to migrate to the cloud. So it doesn't mandate that there is a, you know, that we're necessarily doing that. But I think it's really important if we want to modernize our state's technology stack that we start with cloud computing and we certainly start with giving our agencies the right information and tools to do that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay.
Nice to see you. Regarding mental health, are you examining the parameters for involuntary holds? And how are we balancing the injustices of the past with the needs of the present on that issue?
Yeah, that is a really phenomenal question. Yes, the short answer is yes. I think one thing I discussed with Councilmember Bottcher is just the clear holes in the system right now that if someone is deemed not well enough to be, you know, in court, they are actually put on a 1-day overnight hold in a nearby hospital, and that's certainly not enough, and it doesn't ensure that they're getting long-term support and mental health resources to help them with whatever they're struggling with. So yes, on that end, and what you're saying as well. I think that's the point of having this roundtable with the DA's office is really figuring out, you know, can we come to a consensus and how we're changing the system and then work as a block in Manhattan to fix it. Yeah.
Tying in with that great question, when someone is deemed, you know, at risk with mental issues and living on the street and so on and so forth, besides just taking them off the street for a day or two or whatever, I know that you need, you know, legally you need certain parameters to get them to stay longer. Is there an outreach to family members? Is there, what are the processes that go into dealing with that person?
Yeah, I mean, involuntary holds are really complex.
I know.
And I think also can vary case by case. We are considering what the current involuntary hold system looks like. If it's something, I know our mayoral administration's interested in seeing it expanded. So yeah, in those situations, I do believe family, if someone's like their whoever is like their emergency contact necessarily maybe, especially for minors, it's certainly guardians who are notified. But let's say there's someone exhibiting a mental health crisis on the street. A lot of times they're brought into emergency rooms, right? And emergency rooms are then the ones who are providing direct services. And we don't have a lot of mental health beds. So in last year's state budget, the governor had helped push forward 1,000 new beds added, but we really haven't seen the result of that in Manhattan. And so, you know, we do want to see if we can expand the number of mental health beds that we have. And that certainly doesn't come from seeing hospitals close with some of those beds. The more we populate those beds, if we can not only increase wraparound services, but support looks like figuring out, you know, a caseworker that can work with their family, that can work with someone who is a friend or a trusted person, to help them through, you know, whatever crisis they're dealing with. So, you know, I think that comes from starts with the beds, then is investing in our social safety network, caseworkers, nonprofits, and then those are the folks who are best suited to bring in that larger, you know, family friends if they have it. And you know, some folks don't. They don't have that. Yeah. Be fun and fun.
One more question we have.
The man that stabbed somebody on 33rd Street in East River Drive had been arrested something like at least 7 times, working on various offenses, including violent offenses. And he was out on the street. What's your view on reversing the bail reform law so that such an individual could be incarcerated? And if he continues to exhibit those symptoms that are clearly indicative of a mental illness, he could be treated at Rikers or whatever facility.
Yeah, I think so. 2 things there. I want to clarify when it comes to bail reform, we did amend bail reform in last year's state budget. And we did so at honestly, the recommendation of a lot of folks throughout New York City that wanted to see an increase in judicial discretion. And what that means is we've now given judges more agency in reviewing a specific case and assessing the wellness of a person when setting bail. And I think that makes sense in that judges have the most information. I can't speak to the judges that this person was before, or, you know, in those past
That
instances.
was Andy Goodell's bill on the state assembly.
So we did,
He
yeah.
recommended that like 3 years ago.
Yeah. And so you did that,
And it's
right?
out there. Right, but it's
Yeah.
been sitting there for 3 or 4 years.
No, we've increased, we did that in last year's state
You
budget.
did it last year.
Yes.
He introduced it in the
And
state
he had
assembly at least
in
4
previous years. Right, so we had bills like that, and then last year we did it, we achieved it, it's law now, there is more judicial
That was
discretion.
considered a victory.
But the second thing is, to your point, jails right now are the biggest mental health provider in the entire state. And that's not what they are meant to do.
Okay.
And so, you know, when we talk about mental health beds and figuring out alternatives, that's where we need to continue investing, and there has to be an alternative to simply jail and the carceral system. It also costs us a significant amount of money a year to have so many people sitting in Rikers who, a lot of them are receiving mental health, you know, care, but have, you know, not been convicted of a crime, and are awaiting trial. And so, you know, that's not exactly, I think, what our legal system should be like. We should have people who are incarcerated when they've been convicted, but it shouldn't take years in waiting, right? So not being convicted to sit in Rikers. To do that, again, costly for our government, and also not just from a legal system perspective, but I think that's why we're having these conversations now about what alternatives can we provide and what support, so that this doesn't happen again. And we don't keep hearing about this broken system without solutions. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Senator.
so
Thank
much.
you for
Thank you
coming
questions.
on a
And again,
miserable evening.
of course, no, again, Peyton and Catherine are here, if anyone has additional questions or wants to contact our office. But with that, can I say happy holidays and happy New Year in
Happy
advance?
holidays.
You all I'm here for a little while.
Okay, I think, Assemblymember Epstein is with us? Or has he left?
Yes, hello. Assembly member he'll be right here. 1 second. Please.
Oh, it's, okay, or should we go on? Carry on our list?
He's going on right now. Thank you.
Okay.
Maybe we should come back to him.
Yeah, we'll come back if that's okay. I think next.
No,
So let's-
I'm so sorry. Harvey will be right now. He's getting on now.
Oh.
Thank you for your patience. There you go.
He's probably having the same problems we are.
Sorry, I couldn't be there in person. I hope everyone's doing well.
Mm.
I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holidays. I know for a holiday season, we're like have 5 or 6 holiday parties, so it's just been all running around a lot. So I know Senator Gonzalez actually did, like, she gave like half of my report because we did so many things in the neighborhood together. So I really want to thank her for our partnership. I have to say that cleaning the subways was so much fun. Not that it was fun doing it at 11:30 in the morning, but 11:30 at night, but it was really fun. We have a lot of upcoming community events. We're doing a coat drive, a toy drive for kids in schools or over, and in my office. And that's going to be happening over the next week or so. If people want to donate to the coat drive, it's really important that we have a lot of, unfortunately, kids in our schools who are in transitional housing. Some of our schools have up to 50% of students in transitional housing. You know, over the holidays, we did a great giveaway. We did turkey giveaways and vegan roasts. We're doing another vegan roast giveaway next week for Christmas. So, you know, anyone who are vegans want a vegan roast giveaway, we're doing that. You can register on Thursday at my office. We're doing opening an art exhibit on the office on the 19th as well in the evening. Teatro Quattro Art. Basically, there's a group of Lower East Sider kids in the 70s who started their own art show, a theater company, and they traveled all over the world. And there really haven't been a lot of history of it. So we were lucky that Sal de Pepe created an exhibit for it, and we're opening that exhibit in our office on the 19th. We have a lot of we have like an e-waste event at Union Square Park that's happening on January 12th. And it's just on the Litch issue, that's going to be a fight. And whatever you all can do to help us get that across the finish line. I know, I'm not always as optimistic on things sometimes as Senator Gonzalez, but I think we just have a little bit of time to push the governor to sign that. I have a bill just on nursing homes similar to the Litch Hospital closing bill. That's before the governor at the same time. So whatever we can do to help ensure that hospital closings go through a community engagement process is going to be critical for all of us. I just want to thank you all for what you do. You know, I know how hard it is to serve on the community board. I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you in person, but I really do look forward to seeing you in the future. And if the chair, if there's a question or two, I'm happy to do it. Defer to the chair on that.
Do we have any questions? I think not.
Well, Michael Ann.
Oh, sorry. Michael Ann?
Yeah, no, real quick, Harvey, thank you. I know what you're doing. Just real quick, where's the coat drive? Did we lose him?
I'm sorry, but it's just hard to hear.
Where is the coat drive?
Michael Ann, can you be a little louder? I don't know, maybe, or
Where is the
She asked, where is the coat drive?
Thank you.
Where is the coat drive? We'll find that out, Michael Ann, and we'll make sure you get it. Thank you. Great, thanks.
Thanks.
Holidays.
Oh, Ann Seligman
it
has a
might be our
question.
connection, but I don't know why I can't hear you.
Harvey, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, where's the
actually,
coat drive? The coat drive is happening at our office.
The coat
National
drive
Arts
is,
Club is
if
collecting
you look
coats
at,
too. And it's in if you look on the chat, our reports in there, and people can find it in the chat as well. National Arts Club, our office, our two locations in our neighborhood to drop off.
Okay, that wasn't actually my question. And my question is kind of a shout out, a thanks to you, Harvey, to the other electeds who sent their reports.
I don't hear anything, so I think this I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, and I'll see you all soon. I can't really hear anything else. Sorry.
I think Anne was going to comment on the fact that it's great to get the reports on time so that people can read them before the meeting. And Harvey actually did send it on time. So
that's why I made it as a thank you rather than calling out some of the other electeds who sent them. I'd always rather give positive feedback than negative, though I know it doesn't always seem that way. But yeah, so for those of you who didn't, just notice that we actually are paying attention. And we really do read them and we care about what you have to share with us. So please do so.
Great, thank you. Okay, next up we have Victoria Mazzola from Assemblymember Boris's office.
Hello, how is everybody? I hope you're having a great holiday season. My name is Victoria and I am representing Assemblymember Alex Boris. The Assemblymember Boris will be hosting his State of the District on January 26th. Doors open at 12 p.m. and the program begins at 1 p.m. Light refreshments will be served from 1:30 to 2:30. The event will take place at the High School of Art and Design located at 245 East 56th Street. In addition, the governor has signed 3 of Assemblymember Boris's bills. A 8425, this bill updates the penal code by replacing the outdated and inaccurate term Kung Fu star with the more accurate and respectful term throwing star or shuriken. I'm definitely saying that incorrectly. In addition, there's Bill 8435, which Senator had mentioned. The Cloud Computing Act encourages faster and more efficient government services, empowering state agencies to adopt cloud technology, allowing them the flexibility to choose the best tools for their specific needs. And finally, Bill A8081. This bill ensures that racist terms are not used in court summonses. And that's the report from Assemblymember Boris.
Do we have any questions? Great. No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
And yes, happy holidays all around. We have Eric Straza next from Alan Bragg's office. Is Eric? And someone has their hand raised?
I believe it's Braha from the VP's office.
Okay. Is Eric on? Okay, we'll go to Braha.
Hopefully Eric will be on shortly because I don't want you to miss out on what he has to say. Hello, everybody.
Sorry, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I was on the invitation to unmute, but I can't seem to turn on my camera, but that's all right. Since my report was submitted on the later end, so I'll just touch on a couple of things, including the Borough President's op-ed together with DA Alvin Bragg and City Council Member Keith Powers, which was spotlighting the relationship between public safety and scaffolding on our city streets. Besides just not looking nice, there's some real concerns about crime, dangerous activity, and perceived safety issues, which affect quality of life. And we've been working on this legislation for a while now with the City Council to, change the regulations around the sidewalk sheds to make it easier to complete the work to get the sheds down quickly, to update the policy on facades of varying material, and more things like that. The full op-ed can be found on our website. Aside from that, we've had a few different informational sessions that we've run in our office and some that are coming up. So we had our Get Involved in Local Government webinar to teach people about the various levels of local government, including community boards, also community education councils, other advisory boards. And that webinar will be available on our website in the coming days for anyone who missed it. It's a great overview. If you would like to share with people to explain a bit about what you do and how they can get involved in different aspects of local government. We also have our Manhattan Future Leaders Fellowship. Thank you to everyone who helped get the word out. Our application just closed yesterday and we got a huge number of applicants. So very excited for that cohort. And then we have capital funding virtual information sessions for the fiscal year 2026. And we have a session coming up for nonprofits and city agencies this Thursday at 2 p.m. And then our information session for Manhattan Public Schools was held on Tuesday. It was held, yesterday. And the recording will be available soon. You can register on our website. The link's also in the newsletter. That's everything.
Do we have any?
Pretty happy holidays. Take any questions.
Right. Do we have any questions for Braha? I guess I don't think we do. Thank you very much. Yes, and happy holidays. Eric is still not with us, I guess. Patrick Hill from Councilmember Keith Powers' office.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good night. I do not have anything to add on top of our report. I'd be happy to take any questions any folks may have.
Tanya?
I want to say thank you, Patrick. I want to thank you and Councilman Powers for taking care of all the graffiti that Tudor City was plastered with over the last 2 weeks. We seem to have been targeted, and your office got on it right away. There was graffiti on the Tudor City Bridge, on the stairs, everywhere. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So we know what to do now. If we
know what to do.
Yeah, if you guys see graffiti, let us know. It's easier on public buildings. That's the area like the overpass and stuff like that. It's typically a lot easier for us to get addressed. Private buildings, we have to go through a whole process getting permission from the buildings and stuff like that.
Now we're paying $14,000 to get it removed off of our building.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for our council member? Great. Thank you very much. Happy holidays. Who we have now? Mackie Bentley from Representative Nadler's office.
Actually, it might be better without that.
Yeah, just stand close here and.
Right here?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's good. Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hope y'all are staying dry. Just gonna make this quick. One piece of information that happened yesterday they were excited about. Congressman Nadler and Congressman Goldman, we requested and were able to secure $60,000 to the Water Resource Development Act that passed recently. And the $60 million is going to go towards Manhattan's environmental infrastructure, as well as finding and building a comprehensive flood plan with New York and New Jersey Harbor. So just to build our climate resiliency throughout the city. So we're excited that we got that. And then just one piece of information, it is open enrollment. If you apply by January 15th, or excuse me, December 15th, then you can get coverage by January 1st. The end of the enrollment is January 15th. Just want to keep it brief. Hope y'all stay dry and have a happy holiday. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Great. Happy holidays. Tevin Williams from Representative Goldman's office.
Evan, are you still with us?
Okay, and is Eric?
No sign of it.
Okay. We have, okay, Katie Lowe from Councilmember Rivera, Carlina Rivera's office.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Loeb, Councilmember Rivera's Chief of Staff. And I don't have anything to add, but I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have.
It's a lucky evening.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Okay, do we have anyone else who's from our elected or other representatives? Okay, has anyone signed up to speak in the public session?
They have. First, we have Alex Wong, who is a resident of Manhattan Community District 6, who wishes to speak to the board on a resolution coming up regarding a 42nd Street busway. Mr. Wong, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Hi, everyone. I am a resident of Sutton Place. I'm a lifelong New Yorker, and I'm also a cyclist as well. I am also really big into public transportation and taking the bus and subways as I can. I'd like to voice my support for the 42nd Street busway initiative because the current time that it takes to get across town on the 42nd Street bus makes it prohibitive when you're when you're trying to get across town. And I would strongly support it. I think that if it was to be enacted, it'd make it a lot easier for me to actually utilize that busway. And currently, I do try to avoid the 42nd Street bus because it's so it's so slow due to traffic and things like that. And I think that it would be really beneficial towards the public transit and a really important part of crosstown transportation. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is John Noble, who is also a resident of Manhattan Community District 6 and wishes to speak to the board on the same topic as the previous speaker. Mr. Noble, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
All right, thank you. My name is John Noble. I'm a resident of CB6. I live in Tudor City. I was really excited to hear about this resolution coming up on the CB6 Transportation Committee Board, committee, I should say. And I just wanted to say that I fully support this resolution for 42nd Street Busway and the sidewalk expansion. I think we desperately need more sidewalk space along that corridor to accommodate the many tourists that visit the many iconic places there, and also accommodate the large number of workers that arrive on 42nd Street. I feel like the sidewalk space is much too small. I think with extra sidewalk space, we can create vibrant cafe space, places for people to rest and relax, and include more green space, which I think 42nd Street desperately needs. This will, of course, lead to increased foot traffic and increased business, which will be good for the district. I also agree, or also support the a busway along 42nd Street for those bus riders to get across 42nd Street more quickly. The 42nd Street, the M42 is one of the slower buses in the city, and a busway would be very helpful in getting people across town faster. So I just want to ask the full board to please support this resolution as well. And thank you for letting me speak and for your time and considering my remarks.
Thank you for your remarks. We do have one more speaker, Anne Seligman, who is a member of this board, but is speaking to you today as a member of the public on the matter of horseshoe crab legislation.
Okay. Not something on the agenda, and I'm sorry, it's been suggested that I speak from here. So some of you guys here know that I am really passionate about horseshoe crabs, that I've been doing horseshoe crab research for a long time. There is a bill sitting on Governor Hochul's desk. Like it will get a pocket veto tomorrow if she doesn't sign it. The bill numbers are A10140 and S3185A, which is the lead sponsor is our wonderful Senator Granholm and Siegel. So thanks to whoever might be here representing him. If you want to give a call or send an email to tell her to sign this bill, horseshoe crabs are declining in population in our area. The states around have all done things to protect them, which puts even more pressure on our own populations. And if you have never been out, some of you guys have been out with me and it is awesome. I'm just saying. So if you want more information, you can reach out to me. I'm sitting back there, or send me an email, send me a text. But again, if this bill dies, so will many horseshoe crabs. And it's just not a good thing. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That concludes the speakers list for tonight, for the public session.
The minutes from the November 13th full board meeting were distributed to board members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand. Katie? Does Katie have her hand raised, or is that? Oh,
No.
no. Okay, it's another hand. Sorry. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the November 13th full board meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. So next is my report. This month at the Borough Board meeting, we heard a report from the MTA on the use of funds that will be available once congestion pricing is implemented. The attendance resolution, which was a very popular issue at our last full board meeting, was discussed at the executive committee. Some clarifications were made, and we will discuss this more in the new year. Jesus and I met with this is the ACS that Senator Gonzalez referred to, which is the Agency for Child Services. We met with them, and CB6 will be participating in the Community Advisory Group, the CAB that she referred to, and David Levy is going to be our representative on that. The Spark Task Force, and that's the Science Park and Research Center that is proposed for the Brookdale campus, met last night, and the project is 25% through the design phase. It was very interesting to hear some of the design ideas for the proposed Spark Square, which is a new public space that is going to be part of that project. The demolition of the existing building is supposed to start at the end of next year. We're planning a New Year celebration on January 24th at Tudor City. So once you've had all your happy holidays finish, we'll start into another celebration. And thanks to Paige Judge for organizing a venue for us. We had a follow-up mentoring session with some of our new members. They kindly joined John, Jesus, Gabe, and I on a Saturday morning. And more of that from our first vice chair, John Kelly.
I'll just be very brief. We had a very good meeting with many of the people who have participated in the mentoring. And there were two messages out of it. One was that the role of the mentoring as onboarding, as much as explaining how to write resolutions and procedures of the board, almost had co-equal, objectives. In other words, people really appreciate it. We also reflected that with the term limits of 8 years now on the board, it's more important to get new members engaged as quickly as possible. And the second thing was we had two specific things out of many things that came of it. One is that a lot of the members, some of the new members said, hey, we would like to have more of an input on our committees into what the agendas of the committees are. So that's a hint to committee chairs, a strong suggestion to move that and ask for feedback from people. And the second suggestion was that a lot of people just don't know many of you and many of us. So someone actually suggested we have a seating chart. I said, this isn't a seating chart kind of crowd. But, so if you see someone that is new to the board and you don't know them, just say hi. That's it. Thanks, Ed.
Great. I'm sorry, what was that? Our district manager, Jesus Perez, will now give his report.
I just want to give one quick housekeeping thing. Invariably, every full board or most committee meetings, there will be one or two members who call the office or email the office in the minutes leading up to the meeting starting, or as the 20-30 minutes after the meeting has already begun, asking for Zoom links. We love to help you, but there's a lot going on for the office to handle, especially at committee meetings where there's only one of us. So if you find yourself last minute needing a Zoom link, unless you can't avoid it, please don't call the office. Instead, go to the CB6 website. The CB6 website has a handy dandy calendar that has all the meetings listed, including the one that will be going on at that time that you are trying to get into. And there is a public link that you can use to get into the meeting. Once you're there, then you can raise your hand, you can email us, you can give us some sort of signal to promote you to the panelists so that you can be a proper, fully functioning member. But that would be much easier than calling us 5 minutes into the before the meeting, or emailing us 20 minutes after it started when we're like trying to put out fires and stuff. So just a helpful hint if you want to give the office a Christmas gift that lasts all year.
Yeah.
So, and it gets you to the website. If you can't remember the last time you've been to the CB6 website, it's been too long. So
I use it all the time, but
thank you.
Gabe Terzo will now give the treasurer's report.
Thank you, everyone. According to the Office of Management and Budget, as of December 2nd, 2024, the CB6 budget is $612,004, which includes street fair money. Encumbered and liquidated funds break down as follows. Rent is $177,905. Personal services are $119,202. Other than personal services are $14,591. Unencumbered funds total $300,304, of which $142,811 are street fair funds. Thank you.
Okay. We've now arrived at our committee reports and resolutions. A reminder that the same rules stated at the beginning of the meeting still apply. Members of the public, please note that during this section of the meeting, we only recognize questions from members of the full board. The CB6 staff emailed the digital ballot to all members. Please click on the link in your email that the office sent to open the ballot, select your name from the drop-down list, and select your vote on each resolution as they are presented. Do not hit submit until after the final resolution has been presented. At the end of the meeting, please submit after you have indicated all of your votes on your ballot. You will not be able to submit the ballot unless you vote on every resolution. If you plan on abstaining, please select abstain. As you know, this will count as a negative vote. Final vote counts will be announced after the second roll call. If any part of this procedure is unclear, please raise your hand and we will address your question. So we're going to start off the evening with Business Affairs and Licensing with Anton Molnar, Chair.
Try to make it quick so we can all get out of the rain. I'd like to propose that the resolutions 1A, B, C, D be bundled. The first three, A, B, C, are for roadway cafe licenses, and D is for roadway cafe license and a sidewalk cafe license for the same entity. We've vetted all of them. We went into the Department of Transportation has a very good site that they went to, and they filled out all the necessary information for us to make a decision, and we approved them as they stood. We have some questions about pedestrian passageway, where we noted a couple of them that they had sandwich signs which closed the passageway from the mandated 8 feet to maybe 3, 4, or 5 feet, which this is an issue we had with other restaurants in New Bed all days, especially between 50 and 51st Street and 2nd Avenue. That's been cleaned up, and I think the new DOT standards certainly help alleviate some of these issues.
Marty, second Okay, a motion to bundle? All right, please go ahead and vote on resolution A, B, C, and D. And mark your digital ballot. And Anton, do you have a report?
Just a couple of things I'd like to mention. We're going to be reviewing in next week's business affairs meeting some cannabis applications, and one of them I noticed that was attached was a proximity report, an official report from the Office of Cannabis Management. And proximity report went through the various distance regulations, and it indicated on a particular applicant that the 500-foot rule, which is required for schools, they indicated there were 3 schools that fell in about 293 feet. And also that there was a cannabis applicant within 1,000 feet. So I am very distressed and not happy that we even received these things to look at when the Office of Cannabis Management knows that it doesn't fit the regulations. I feel for supernumeraries, what does it count when Office of Cannabis Management is letting these things come to us that are clearly out of sync with their own regulations? Now, I know Reshma Patel, member of the Budget and Government Affairs Committees, drafted a resolution which, among other things, talks to this. I had a chance to make some minor edits that went through the committee, I think last Monday.
We tabled it for now because it's good, because I wanted to ask you some questions about it, so.
Okay, but in any case, it's imperative that the Office of Office of Cannabis Management get its act together. I've been saying this, I think it's about 1.5 years now. And one of the things I forwarded to the government committee was the SLA's definitions of distance, which are far more clear and have rules if an SLA applicant, as somebody for a liquor license, does have a request to set up a liquor establishment within 200 or 500 feet of a house of worship or a school, there's a separate hearing held, so 200, 500 foot hearing, in which the SLA has a chance to question the applicant as to why we should even consider your application when it doesn't meet the requirements of the regulation. So, and we're gonna look at this resolution again, and I think maybe we'll take a look at this the next time the full board meets.
Great. Tanya?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Anton, because the reason we tabled it for the moment is because we were told that the 500 feet that applies to liquor is what is being used to apply to the pot stores. And there are two different, we got into an esoteric discussion as to what is the difference between liquor and pot. And, it's interesting that you can't be drinking on the streets.
Right.
So liquor is prohibited from being drank outside on the street, but you can smoke pot out on the street. So that's one of the, if you're standing outside of a pot is there, drinking is not there. So I don't understand how they can apply the same rules, or should we go into an analysis of what is the difference between the pot and the liquor and how the rules should apply or not?
Well, it's probably safer, but on the other hand, that's not my opinion.
No, that's not the question.
I know.
The question is that I know alcoholism Trust me, nobody wants it, but.
But here we are, and I think that, you know, both of these agencies are state agencies and obviously don't talk to each other.
Yeah,
No,
and we don't want to get into, you know, discussing this here. I think this is, it's great that our two committees are talking about this, and obviously it's something that affects us all. Rupal, do you want to have a brief comment?
So when you're talking about smoke, how is it different from people smoking like cigarettes outside? That's still smoke. That's still dangerous. So why are we differentiating these things? Are you talking about making all smoking illegal outside? Because if you're gonna start differentiating just smoke, where does then cigarette go?
Do you have the same reaction to the cigarette smoke?
I actually have a worse reaction to the cigarette smell than I do to pot. So I'd much rather prefer the pot smell. Cigarette smell gives me a migraine, pot smell does not.
All smoke gives me a migraine.
So let's, yeah, I know this is going to be a robust and thoughtful discussion at the next.
That point, yeah, well, this
Committee.
is why we tabled it, because we need to.
Any member that is interested in participating in this discussion should go to the CB6 website, the calendar, and sign up to attend that meeting.
Yes, yes. All right, our next committee is transportation. Jason Fromowitz. Oh, closest to the owl.
Hello, good evening. We have a number of resolutions tonight. The first is supporting, it is a no objection to a request for parking regulations to establish a no parking zone in front of the 405. Sorry. It is a request to set up no parking in front of residential buildings in front of 405 East 54th Street and 404 East 55th Street. It's actually a not to support it. It's no objection of implementing no parking in front of those residential buildings. We heard a presentation from the members of the SAC who were requesting it, and they made a compelling presentation about the need vehicles to be able to stop to drop off passengers in front of buildings and to allow traffic to be able to continue to flow as to not block flow of traffic while people are stopping to get through.
Do you want to field questions? Or would you like me to? Marty had his hand up first.
Well, I don't have a car anymore. I parked across the street from them in the garage that's directly across on 55th Street. And from the garage entrance to the corner is a bus stop. Plenty of room, no reason to set up a no parking zone in front of the building. Most people in CV6 live on one-way streets. If we're going to start banning parking, we should ban parking throughout CV6. By the way, on the 400 block in the East 50s, there's no parking between 8 a.m. and 6 or 7 p.m. at all. So most of the time they have no parking there anyway. The 54th Street site, across from that is a city bike line. Again, there's plenty of room. I don't know why they picked those particular streets. Maybe somebody in SAC particularly likes them. Why they didn't pick 53rd Street and 56th Street. All this, it's all the same. Definitely against this. And again, we're having congestion pricing. We're putting enough onus on the people who live below 60th Street, not to start taking away more spots from them.
I think Anne was next, and then Eric.
It's appropriate. I'm gonna echo a lot of the stuff that Marty just said. I do own a car in the city, not too far from there. But I like dug pretty deep on this and looked at the DOT parking signs on the streets and Google Maps, Street View to see what's there. And it does seem like there's a lot of there's commercial parking zones. There's no standing zones, which to me just means you can duck in there. But I'm not sure. Sutton SAC is a great organization, but I don't think just because they ask for it is a good enough reason to do it. And I noticed that, I mean, there are no standing zones, commercial parking, curb cuts, a bus stop, and a third of committee members either objected or abstained. So I'm kind of curious about the dynamic on that as well. But I feel like I can't support this.
Eric was next.
Hi, I'm happy to add just a little bit of color. We did have a conversation at the committee about this issue. And I think one of the items that came up for, the community board to consider is there are probably hundreds of buildings throughout the community board district that have this exact same situation. And when we're looking at issues like this, we have to think about everyone in the community, not just those who have the agency or the ability to come forward to the board. And I just personally found it very problematic that we were going to single out these two buildings as opposed to taking a policy view and policy measure around how this should be implemented. I left the meeting that night and walked by several buildings in various neighborhoods who, if they were aware that this was an option, I'm sure they'd raise their hands as well. And I think it's incumbent upon us to think about everyone whose voices are present in meetings and voices who are not present in meetings when we vote on issues like this.
Maya would you like to respond, Jason?
This is just my personal opinion, not that view of the committee. But just in response, as far as I'm personally concerned, I'd be more than happy to entertain any residential building that would like to have no parking in front of their residences. If they have a compelling reason why it's necessary, we are welcome to discuss it on the committee, and we can consider each scenario on a case-by-case basis, which is what we've done today.
Jason, why is this compelling?
Again, they came to us and were concerned with traffic and the ability for people to be able to enter into the building, given the fact that there's a bike lane and a one-lane road in front of the building, and that otherwise they're obstructing traffic when they try to do backups and drop-offs in front of the building.
And Maya, and then Sandra. Sandra on Zoom has a question after that.
I did want to highlight Anne's question about why they did, but it's because they did ask for it, and so when the building themselves are asking for it, like, I don't see how we can be like, well, we're taking away parking spaces from our area, but they are asking us specifically to take away parking spaces from our area. This is a one lane roadway, and so it does block a lot of traffic when, as the staff committee member, when she was speaking, was saying there are a lot of elderly residents who need to stop. It takes them more time to get out of the car, and it does block traffic, which is, as other members were saying, they like to use their cars around this area, which does create a lot of problems, let alone thinking about parking. And if we're talking about parking with congestion pricing, whatever, this is like parking for residential area of these people around there, and if they're okay with losing a spot in front of, this is a throughway building, so both entrances is for one building technically. It spans the entire block from the north south side to like the fifth. If they're okay with losing a couple of spaces, like, I don't see how we can stand in their way saying, oh, what about parking in the entire city? There's a lot of parking, as mentioned, there's parking garage right across the street. Yeah, so I think we should take a viewpoint from that they're asking us for this, and if they're okay with it, we should support them. And I do hear Eric's concerns from the committee about the larger policy thing. If you have that kind of opinion, I do think that's something that we can address in our committee and bring to you, but that is separate from this particular resolution issue. And I'd like to do both.
Sandra is next.
Yeah, I also want to speak it. I oppose it. I agree with a lot of what the people opposing it have said. Also, I've seen it. This tends to fall out on buildings with doormen. There's a real class-based issue that's also playing out. That was very troubling to me as I saw who was putting up, and this is, I can't remember, was it one period of time where were these no parking in front of various buildings, all of which were doorman buildings, and that's very offensive.
Yeah.
So I am totally opposed to it.
I think Jim was next.
Open question.
Do we have a second? Okay, if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot.
Right, and the next resolution, I'm gonna pass the floor over to Brock, who has been spearheaded this. for us. Jason is more than qualified to talk about this, but I'm happy to as well. This is a resolution in support of a busway on 42nd Street and sidewalk widening. Basically, we met with the transportation committees of CB4 and CB5 and us, and we thought about how we can work together, and this is what we came up with. So you'd be voting for the DOT to come up with a visioning, work with stakeholders, and basically kind of use 14th Street as a template, but obviously there's a little bit of different issues with Times Square and Grand Central and UN Building. So there's going to be, additional issues. So it would be for DOT to work out those issues with the stakeholders. And so if all of these committees, CB4, 5, and 6, sign on, then we would give Sandy the authority to sign a letter in support. So that's the basics, right?
Jim had his hand up first.
14th Street has rules that you're not supposed to drive across it. Just across the entire breadth of 14th Street. Are you proposing something similar for 42nd Street, or are you proposing like a bus lane? I thought there was one already on 42nd Street.
Right, correct. There are bus lanes are always blocked. The M42 is very, very slow. It's essentially a walking speed.
Yeah.
So this would be to model on the 14th Street successes and use that kind of model on 42nd Street.
Well, yeah, but as I say, it's 42nd Street. It's vastly different from 14th Street.
Yeah, I mean, I think when 14th Street was going, everybody said, oh, this is 14th Street. It's vastly different from these other streets. So I think that's always an argument you can use for every street. This is streets different than this other street. So it's very common.
You got the Lincoln Tunnel traffic, you have,
Yeah, I mean, we have congestion pricing coming, and people need a way to get cross town. And this would be transformative and kind of give us a 42nd Street that we deserve.
Are you proposing a study, or are you proposing
We're proposing that the DOT do a visioning of a busway and sidewalk widening. There's obviously going to be some elements, like there's a taxi stand on Grand Central. There's going to be elements they're going to have to take into consideration. But, we're asking the experts at DOT, the bus people, to look into it.
Let's go Anne and then Marty. And sorry.
So I live on 46th Street. I have pretty much given up on the 50th Street crosstown, even though I go east-west a lot, because the frequency of the M50 is just like a joke, even during the week. I'm sorry, that was true for the M15 and the M34 today as well. But my concern with the 42, once you get on it, with the bus lane, it moves along pretty well. I go from 2nd to 10th pretty often, and it works. Like, the problem is the frequency of the buses, not the speed of the buses. And so I'm kind of wondering if you guys talked about that or have spoken with like MTA, New York City Transit, about if there was a busway, if they would increase frequency, or if they would just say, yeah, the buses will move faster, but if you still have to wait 20 minutes between buses on a weekday at 5 o'clock, it's not having a busway. If you get there in 7 minutes instead of, and say you get there in 10 minutes instead of 12 minutes, that's not the important element.
Right. I mean, if you go to 42nd Street, you'll see that the bus lane's completely blocked with just cars sitting in there idling or stopped. No, there's zero enforcement of the bus lane, and I'm glad that you had experience that it moves, but the DOT staff says that it's very slow and essentially walking or slightly faster than walking.
Hader, let's go to Hader and then to Marty.
Just a quick comment. I was in the committee meeting, and we ended the meeting when we voted for the resolution to be explicitly voting only to support a study, not to be suggesting an expedited planning for busway and wider sidewalks. I don't think that's what was voted on, and it's in the resolution. So that's one, and I totally agree with that. I don't know whether 14th Street can be called a success. It's improved the bus transit time by, I think, I don't know, 17% or 21%, which is like 1.6 minutes. And the amount of chaos it's gonna cause on 42nd Street, it being sort of a feeder from an FDR exit, as well as going all the way across town to the west side, and as an exit into entry into the tunnels and stuff. So I think we should support a study, but not start pushing for planning.
I think we said Marty was next.
Many years ago, we had a proposal to do a light rail trolley kind of system going across 42nd Street. There was a group that was behind it with money involved. There was a big issue though in regards to when they came to the end on the east side and the end on the west side, how to turn them around and the amount of room that was needed. But it was generally well accepted that it would help tremendously. And I certainly applaud this effort and think this would be a great idea.
Larry, and then we'll come up to Jason.
The wording in the resolution and the resolve is relating to visioning, and that against Hader's concern, I interpret visioning to be a study.
Agreed, but it also adds expedited planning. That's a two-word.
But we want them to do it quickly, in other words. Is that what it means? Is that what?
Yeah, not 10 years from now.
I think that's, I mean, I'm not sure if that clarifies, but Reshma did have her hand up, and so if people don't mind going to Reshma.
Hi, thank you, Sandy. I just wanted to say that my experience with the M42 bus has been different. It has gotten better since we have the bus lane, but so often a car will come in or trucks are coming in and blocking it. And so you can't, say you're trying to get to something on the west side, you can never be sure because you don't know if there's gonna be a car that enters that area and blocks the bus. And the bus usually comes every 5-10 minutes. So I don't think it's an issue of the bus not being frequent, but I do think that if we had something like an express bus situation like M34 or the 14th Street where it's completely blocked would make it a lot easier to get across town.
Tanya, and then Anton. We'll end with Jason if that's okay.
I second Reshma on this. I use the M42 almost on a daily basis. I live in Tudor City. For me to get east to west, west to east. And the biggest problem is indeed the fact that the parking rules are not being implemented. And it's a nightmare to try to get across, especially at certain times, and on the weekends, forget it. You don't even get the bus sometimes. But I agree that the biggest problem that we have on 42nd Street, as we have throughout the entire city, is that the police block the bus lanes. Everybody parks their car there. Their trucks are unloading. UPS. Everybody. Has the transportation committee ever considered maybe starting to tackle and ask the city to really implement the law and get these people out of those bus lanes? I mean, I'm all for the resolution, by the way.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a loaded question, as far as enforcement goes, right? Because NYPD is the one that enforces, so there's only so much we can do, but we create a busway there. then it certainly works on 14th Street. I mean, when I go cross town on 14th Street, it works very well, but to get NYPD to enforce bus lane, that's a tall order.
And we'll end with Jason if that's okay. Yeah, or Anton then. Okay. Anton, sorry.
I agree. There's a couple of things here. One, yes, enforcement is very important, not only for vehicles parked in the bus lane and whatever it is, pickups, drop-offs and things like that, but enforcement at the avenues where there's perpetual gridlock.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if the bus can go speeding from, let's say, 8th to 9th Avenue, when it gets to 9th Avenue and it got the light, they can't go across because there are cars blocking the avenue. I do take the 14th Street and the 42nd Street buses very frequently, particularly to go to the theaters on West 42nd Street, 9th, 10th, 11th Avenue. And depending on the time of day, if it's, let's say, early in the evening, about 7 o'clock before the shows start, there are many, many pedestrians who jaywalk, cause traffic to back up. And this is the rush hour when many cars and vehicles and trucks are going to the Lincoln Tunnel. Now, I agree, 42nd Street is different than 14th Street. You don't have all those situations with going to a tunnel or having to deal with people coming in from other parts of the city or from New Jersey to go to shows and bringing their cars in, where it gets very congested around there. So I think the issue not so much is, should there be a study? I think this goes back to traffic enforcement. I've seen these traffic officials, they're not police people, but really almost helpless in being able to stop gridlock. And that's very, very important in this area of 42nd Street.
And Jason, do you want to do a final? I will say that I think it's great that we're working with our fellow community boards to look at this, because as we've noted, it's across the city. So this is the first step in looking at that. But Jason, please.
Yeah, I wanted to make a number of points. First off, I'll be quick. First off, when we're looking at potential for a busway on 42nd Street, I urge members of the board to consider to not compare 42nd Street to other non-busway within the city and to gauge how effective buses are getting across 42nd Street today. But rather, I would urge you to look at 14th Street and look at how well the bus moves through 14th Street without any traffic whatsoever, and how the buses just flow from stop to stop. And that's what we could have as the possible future and the opportunity on 42nd Street. So whether you think it moves reasonably fast today, I think there's no comparison to the flow which we have on the busway on 14th Street. And I would personally love to see that on 42nd Street, on 34th Street, on many more cross streets or cross throughways within the city. So I urge you to think about what the opportunity is for a really effective and efficient bus transportation across town and city, rather than how it compares to other already inefficient cross-town bus ways that we have. I had another thought, but I lost it.
Well, if there's no objection, I'd like to vote on this. So please mark your digital ballots and vote on the resolution. We have one more transportation issue.
Yes, okay, so last item on transportation resolutions, we have a resolution recommending the federal government extend rules and regulations to add skirts to the side of large trucks to prevent vulnerable road users from getting caught in the space beneath and being run over. So for background on this, there is a discussion at the federal government and the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, where they are looking at regulations for commercial trucks and considering the opportunity to require commercial trucks to place barriers, basically to prevent pedestrians and cyclists from getting caught in the wheel well of these large vehicles. Today, New York City requires commercial vehicles with a contract with the city to have these in place within New York City. And basically, this resolution is to to see that envisioned to move forward as a federal regulation. And the city cannot regulate that on vehicles that are not within the city's purview of vehicles that have contract with the city.
Marty,
It's a great idea. I don't think the federal government will necessarily listen to Community Board 6. I think that if we apply this to the NYC DOT and have all trucks in the city required to have these things, the skirts cost between $150 and $1,800. So they're not necessarily inexpensive items, but by charging, say, $100 for the first and $500 for the second, you know, and graduate them, it would make the different truck companies look twice and get it done.
Larry?
Last year, as noted in the resolution, the advisory committee on underride protection of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration was soliciting comments of the sort that Marty was referring to. And the purpose of this resolution is to provide commentary and in particular with regard to our own local interest and experience.
Saying no other discussion, if there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot. And a report, Jason. Pardon?
Don't submit.
Not yet. Don't submit yet.
I do have a brief report. So first off, congestion pricing is going to be currently scheduled to be implemented on January 5th at 12:01 a.m. I attended a presentation from MTA on its implementation. Main takeaways that I want to relay. The toll is now $9 during peak hours, which is down from the original proposal of $15. And that gets reduced down to $2.25 if you cross into the central business district from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The other main takeaway I had was if you drive a car and expect to encounter that toll and you own an Easy Pass, to make sure you have your license plate registered onto your Easy Pass account, because that is how they will be using the license plates to identify the cars, not the Easy Pass transponders. So to make sure your billing is appropriately linked up, make sure your license plate is registered there. And then I was also happy to see Department of Transportation completed the offset bus lane on 2nd Avenue between 23rd Street and 14th Street. So they, on 2nd Avenue, moved the bus lane from directly on the curb to one lane removed from the curb. That had been going in somewhat slowly over the course of the summer. And they just finally finished up the last section on between 23rd and 14th. So we now have a fully offset 24-hour bus lane on 2nd Avenue, which I'm really excited to see myself.
Jimmy had a question.
Yes. With respect to the 2nd Avenue bus, you're saying that there's a lane and a free lane and then the bus lane?
Yeah, so you'll have the curb lane, which is some combination of loading zones, parking.
So it's gonna be narrower.
It is now, Jim.
Yeah, it's already, this is all in place.
Well, my other question was, the bus service on 3rd Avenue downtown, going downtown, is, this is the M102, 103, what have you, yeah, M103 particularly, which goes and services City Hall and down, Chinatown, what have you. Those buses tend to run very irregularly. They're not nearly as frequent as the M15 downtown, which goes from Yorkville or Upper East Side. I walk down 2nd Avenue practically every morning to the Manhattan Bridge and then over to Brooklyn, right? Those buses go downtown virtually empty. So I as compared to the buses for example, the 103, that one goes very infrequently. But I see the M15 downtown literally one after another, and those stations raining or whatever, there's nobody on board. There's maybe half a dozen people, if that. So I just wonder what the deployment of those buses is relative to the M102, 103 buses. And whether or not perhaps we could get more frequent service on the Lexington Third Avenue line as opposed to the Second Avenue.
A couple things I want to address there. First off, I can't speak to your experience of what you've seen on your observations of people riding the bus. But if you look at the data, the M15 line is the busiest bus line
It is.
in the city.
Yes.
There are 57,000 daily riders on that line.
And I use it all the time and it's always packed.
And I also don't personally have the experience of seeing an empty buses passing me on the
Well,
regular.
I walk it in the morning. And I see nobody there.
And in terms of Third Avenue, we do have a resolution that we previously voted on to support a revisioning of Third Avenue, and then we're patiently awaiting DOT to hopefully very soon come to us with an update on. Hopefully there will be some progress on the roadway. We have not discussed the topic of bus time headways on the 101, 102, 103. I think it is myself a bit. I agree that they're not great. I think a lot of the problem is traffic, which would be solved with the potential for an installation of a bus lane or better bus lanes.
Schedules are bad. The 103 doesn't. No, not at all.
Yeah, it's something we could take up.
If you got city workers going downtown to City Hall.
Yeah, we'll take it up at a committee meeting. Thank you. Anything else, Jason?
That's all.
That's all. Great. Thanks very much. Budget and government affairs, Nad?
Yep. Sorry, I'm on Zoom, but I'll keep this pretty quick. I know we talked about a bit about the cannabis stuff, but I know Bulk already discussed that, so don't want to get into that here. The other thing we've been continuing to discuss is around what we're calling like integrity and transparency in government, and this obviously touches on a number of topics, including campaign contributions, matching. We had a representative from the campaign finance board come in and honestly gave us a lot of helpful context on just how to think about the bills that are in front of the council today and the debate that's going on there. For us, that candidly left us with more questions than answers, so we're going to continue to hunt those down and understand it before bringing a resolution before full board. But definitely there's a lot of room to improve how the contributions, campaign like fund matching and all these things work. So we're going to continue to just investigate those as a continuing effort of ours. That's all for the update though.
Great, thank you. Neil Barkley, Parks, Landmarks and Cultural Affairs.
Wave, no report. So happy holidays.
Housing and homelessness, Rich Mintz.
We're meeting next week and we'll be happy to have you join us on Monday.
Okay. Health and environment. Rupal Kakad is going to be giving the report.
So it basically have one thing, it's the resolution that was added, so I'm just gonna give some information before I even go into the resolution. So it's the local input in community healthcare bill. So what it does is right now, so if a hospital wants to close, what this bill will require the hospital to do is it is gonna require the community, it's gonna require the hospital to give the community more advance notice. It's gonna give the community a chance to voice their concerns. And the other, one of the other things it's gonna require a full review in public meeting from the Public Health and Health Planning Council. That's just some of the things that it's gonna do among a couple of other things, but those are like the key important parts of it. It's gonna make the process more transparent, and it's basically gonna give the community it's gonna give the community a chance to get involved in the process, because right now, the way the decision is made, it's basically behind closed doors. So the Department of Health staff and the commissioner are the only ones that kind of go through whatever process it is that they go through, which we know nothing about. Like, we don't know what they're discussing, we don't know what they're talking about, we don't know what goes on. And then they decide to make a recommendation. So what this does is it's gonna get the community involved. It's gonna have the Public Health and Health Planning Council hold meetings in public so that they can hear the concerns and also what goes into making that decision. The bill is right now on the governor's desk, which means she has until Friday to either sign it or veto it. So the governor basically, like a couple of the electeds, their staff has talked to the governor's staff, and what we're hearing is that the governor said that she hasn't heard anything from the supporters of the bill, but she has heard a lot from the opponents of the bill. And the opponents of the bill include hospital industry, trade associations, individual hospitals, and board members who want to close the hospital. And by the way, they also donate a lot of money to the governor, by the way. Hospital lobby is very, very strong. Like it's right up there with Wall Street lobby. So you can imagine. So what we want to do is let the governor know that we want her to sign this bill. We urge her to sign this bill. So given that we have until Friday, due to the time constraints, I'd like to submit the resolution urging Governor Hochul to sign the Litch Act hospital closure bill into law from the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
And
all second.
do we need to show the text of the bill? Has everybody had the opportunity to read it? Okay, so we're ready to vote. Okay, if there's no further discussion, please vote on the resolution and mark your digital ballot. After this, you can submit your ballots.
Just a quick other note, let's say you do want to do something besides just this to let the governor know, you can also make a call to her office. You can email her, you can make social media posts tagging her, do whatever you can, just let her know, like, be loud, make your voices heard, whichever way you want to do this, like call, email, social media, post between now and Friday.
That's it. Okay, whoops.
Curious, just out of curiosity, governors heard from those opposed to the bill. I mean, this is such an important bill. Why hasn't anybody stood up for it? Or
They have.
They have, so.
So what the governor is saying is a little bit to be interpreted.
And like I said, the lobby is pretty strong.
Ripple and I attend meetings, basically about Mount Sinai, but this has come up because Mount Sinai was closed in a way that had no community. It's not.
They announced the closure, yeah. The way they announced it and the way the whole process rolled out, it just kind of came out of nowhere. The community wasn't really given a notice. The committee wasn't really involved. They didn't really hold hearings to hear like what the concerns were. And when a hospital like this closes within the community, it affects the most vulnerable within the community, and they're the ones they ignored the most.
But
So-
there have been rallies, there was a petition went out, there's been definitely voices from the other side. Tanya.
This might be a silly question because I'm new to the board, so I don't know what all the background has been on this, but when a behemoth, like a hospital with all that power, makes the decision to close, there has to have been a process within them. You know, it's either not profitable or they want to do something different. What happens if the community opposes it and we say, no, you can't close? What is the alternative?
So this bill doesn't stop a hospital from closing. It just makes the process more transparent. In the sense that, let's say there is one of those issues.
Right.
So the Department of Health can do more of the reviews. Like, okay, so if there's a financial issue, because one of the things that was brought up during the lawsuit for Beth Israel closing,
Right.
Was that did the hospital ask the governor for help, financial help, right? So that's where part of the lawsuit is also there. For a while, the hospital lawyers were like, they kind of ignored the question, and then eventually they said, yeah, we asked, but we didn't get the money. But then the lawyers for, say, Beth Israel are like, no, you didn't. You never really made that formal request. So, you know, that's where like a lot of these things will hopefully get addressed with this bill, but that is, yeah.
It is corporate America.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so.
Marty, and
They
then
wanted to close out the VA hospital. It was fought successfully.
Yeah, the fee is a little different
Well,
than a
remember-
private hospital.
Well, again,
Yeah.
the federal government said they were losing money on it.
Yeah.
And we managed to keep that one open.
Yeah, my better habits today.
okay, if there's no further questions, we'll move on to you. Do we have a report from Youth and Education? Not this evening. Okay. Land Use and Waterfront, Ajad Abdul Samad.
Leaving the report, just a reminder, Tuesday we are meeting, Tuesday at 6:30. We're gonna get a report from EDC on the Skyport Marina. We are trying to advocate for that, not just be an expansion that the Army Corps of Engineers trying to do for the planes at land and water, but rather use it for community programming. So you're welcome to join that conversation. We'll also talk about the water club, and we will talk about plans for the FDR. So you're all welcome.
Great. Public safety and sanitation, Stu Desser.
Continuing discussion on riding on the sidewalk. We're slow, but we're thoughtful. We had a quick session, considering it's a heated topic. It was thoughtful. We had panelists from Julie Mennon's deputy of staff, Alex Forrest, who's legislative director, those Baristas Unidas and Transportation Alternatives, as well as Eric Strives, a surprise guest, and our very own Jason Kromowitz. We will take this up either next month or the month after. I don't think we even know when we're meeting next month. Also next month, we're going to be continuing to look at sidewalk sheds from two angles. One is just why they're up so long. We sent some letters out to the buildings with the longest standing sidewalk sheds, and so far we've gotten one interesting explanation back. So it's always good to actually ask people rather than make presumptions. And we're also looking at well, we've learned that DOB is considering new rules for sidewalk sheds, and so we'll see what they come up with. We're concerned in this case about building the sheds or other fences and parks, which is somewhat destructive. So these are upcoming discussions, and they'll probably be something.
I highly recommend to watch the video of the meeting that was held. It's very informative. It was a really good discussion. Yeah. And that's the end of our committee reports. Board members, if you have any old or new business to state, please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing no new business, Livia will now conduct the second roll call.
Members, I will now call on you for the second roll call. If you have not submitted your ballot, please do so now. If you are unable to use the digital ballot, CV6 staff will ask you for your vote on each of tonight's resolutions. Majed Abdul Samad.
Present.
Tanya Arias.
Present.
Kyla Thide. Neil Barkley.
Present.
Martin Bear.
Present.
Elvie Barroso.
Not here.
Jim Collins.
Yes, here.
Jonathan Dorico.
Absent.
Stuart Desert.
Present.
Beatrice Disman.
Present.
Maya Donahue. Robert Fairfan.
Absent.
Barack Friedman.
Present.
Jason Bromowitz. Eric Goldberg. Justin Goldberg. Gloria Hage.
Present.
Rabia Iqbal.
Present.
Paige Judge. Hugo Picon. John Keller. Nadeem Kalani.
Present.
Katie Londa.
Present.
Katie, we need your ballot.
Okay.
Sandra Lefkoff.
Present.
David Levy.
Absent.
David Lowenstein. Anton Molnar.
Present.
Sandra McKee.
Present.
Alec Militic.
Present.
Richard Mintz.
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Reshma Patel. Stephen Perez.
Absent.
Miriam Ralph. Michael Ann Rowe. Lawrence Shayer.
Present.
Anne Seligman.
Here.
Sandra Sharon. Olivia Shednick, present. Mubin Siddiqui. Letty Simon.
Present.
Susan Steinberg. Mark Thompson.
Present.
Gabriel Churzo. James Vera. Jerry Weinstein.
Absent.
Sarah Whittington.
Present.
Peter Zeddy.
Present.
All right, now let us give the final results of the resolutions. Resolution from bulk 1A regarding a roadway cafe for regarding a roadway cafe for Nuvita. It passes 38 in favor, none opposed, 2 extensions, none entitled. Bulk resolution 1B, a roadway cafe for Cask Bar and Kitchen, passes 38 in favor, none opposed, 2 abstentions, 0 not entitled. Resolution 1C, roadway cafe for Avra Estiatorio, passes 38 in favor, none opposed, 2 abstentions, 0 not entitled. Bulk resolution 1D, a sidewalk and roadway cafe for Factory 380, passes 39 in favor, none opposed, 1 abstention, 0 not entitled. Transportation resolution 2A regarding the no parking regulations in Sutton Place does not pass. 16 in favor, 20 opposed, 3 abstentions, 1 not entitled. So that one will not remain on the CB6 resolution tracker as it did not pass. Resolution 2B regarding the 42nd Street busway, 30 in favor, 7 opposed, 3 abstentions, no not entitled. Resolution 2C regarding the skirts on the trucks, 34 in favor, 4 opposed, 2 abstentions, 0 not entitled. And the resolution from the floor regarding the passage of the Litch Act, 36 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention, 1 not entitled. And it passes, and we will send it to the governor tonight.
Oh, perfect.
Yep. That's all, folks.
Okay. So if there are no objections, happy holidays, everyone. We will adjourn the meeting. Seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 9.